Hello everyone, welcome to Imprint IS. I am Varun Kolar, and today we are going to do the UPSC Essay 2019 discussion. And in this, we will be looking at a solution to the Section A, topic, that is courage to accept and dedication to improve are two keys to success. Okay, now let's have a look. So before we actually start discussing the essay, let's try to understand why this is so important. So if you understand, the essay topic is one of those topics is of which the marks will actually be added, right? And it is like 250 marks, which is huge, I would say. This is equal to history, geography plus sociology, or polity plus IR, or overall the ethics paper, or the economy, etc. Okay. The problem is obviously that you only take it once you clear the prelims. So a lot of people don't prepare it, and it becomes really hard afterwards to really prepare and get high marks. So just look at what they're saying before we start talking about the topics. Let's look at what they're saying. So they're saying that candidates may be required to write essays on multiple topics. So now this changed after 2014-15. Previously, there's only one topic you had to choose. Now, you have to write two essays, which are like actually something like 1,000 to 1,200 words each. You have to keep closely to the subject of the essay. You have to arrange your ideas in orderly fashion. Now, this is one of the most important things. Normally, what happens is a lot of people write essays, but they don't really arrange their ideas orderly. They go haywire. So there is actually marks for that. And you have to write concisely. You should not really, it would not matter even if you write 8 pages. So supposedly you think that you have not given enough ideas, it might not matter so much if you write in orderly fashion and you're effective in exact your expression. So and exactly what they've said is that credit will be given for effective and exact expression. What do we know about that? What do we mean by that? I think we should, while we're discussing, we'll talk about that. Okay. So what were the topics that come? So the first topic which came was wisdom finds truth. Now, obviously, this is, I would say, somebody who's from a philosophy background, right? So somebody from a philosophy background would love this essay. I think we will post a solution for this. Values are not what humanity is, but what humanity ought to be. Okay, so it talks about values being ideals, and obviously, it is not what humanity is, but it what is ought to be that. Okay, the ideal case, basically. What is best for an individual is not necessarily best for the society. Here again, this essay was written by a lot of my students, I would say. Then the essay which we'll be discussing today, courage to accept and dedication to prove are two keys to success, right? Look, if you look at section B, this is the most, I think, the easy section. So if you look at this section is the abstract section, and this, maybe can be said that okay, current affairs, etc. This is the easy topic, and most people actually asking for help here, right? So the first, set B topic is, so South Asian society were woven around, not around the state, but our plural culture and plural society. So this basically, if you had actually studied public administration, comparative public administration, we actually discussed this, right? Then neglect of primary healthcare and education in India, the reason for backwardness, true, and I think a lot of my students also wrote this one. Biased media is a real threat to Indian democracy, and I think after Ravish Kumar's Magsaysay Award and his speeches, I think this has become very apparent to the people. Rise of artificial intelligence, the threat of jobless future or better opportunity. I think nearly everybody would have written an answer, whoever is preparing for mains, right? We would have expected this kind of a question in GS3. Now they have actually expanded and given us an essay. So here, I think most of you would have written any of these, right? 2, 3, and 4, right? Now, a lot of people ask me that which essay should we attempt. Now, I am equally good at all three of them. Okay. Normally, if you write an essay which not many people write, so let's say if you chose point 1, right? What will happen is that your marking will become absolute. So if you write really well, you get high marks. If you don't write that well, you'll get okay marks, but it would not really matter. Okay. On the other hand, if you write an essay on artificial intelligence or bias media, etc., so it will always be compared to somebody else's who has also written really well. Okay, so there will be some relative marking if case you write an essay which is commonly written by everyone, right? You'll get average marks in that, not too high, not too low, but you'll get enough of marks. So it will not be a risk at all. Now, personally, I would say that maybe writing three or four from the first one. So any of the two, three, and four, and any of two, three, and four from set A and B could have been written. Now, let's start the essay, that is courage to accept and dedication to prove are keys to success. So, how would you go about this? Now, first thing I would like to say is that a lot of you really don't work on your vocabulary. So this is something I would like all of you to do, that you should be able to define words. Okay, that is the first step towards, if you want to write abstract essays, you should be able to define, the keywords. Now, the keyword strategy says that if you look at the keyword in this essay topic, so courage, then you have, dedication, and obviously success. The three easy words, not too difficult, right? But at the end of the day, you need to define it. Okay. So courage is the first keyword. So what is the meaning of the word? So courage is the meaning to do something that frightens one, or strength in the face of pain or grief. So strength in the face of adversity is seen to be courage. Okay. So what the topic says is, it talks about having the ability to recognize the need to improve as the key to success, and to accept. Okay, this acceptance can be of our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, our problems, etc. Okay, so you have to go about the dedication to improve and the courage to accept, both in this case. So how to go about this essay? So the key idea in the essay is to emphasize about courage to accept. So I think you need to prepare or think of some examples. So some kind of brainstorming should be done here. Right, take like 15 to 20 minutes to brainstorm and write the essay in 1 hour flat. Don't take more than that. The next 10 minutes, so right, split it to actually write the essay, or just to look at the essay or underline important points, right, so on so on. And then the focus on dedication group. Also, we need to focus on what does success mean, right? So that is what basically we want to say. So what is success? So again, we have to define it. So success is defined as the accomplishment of an aim or purpose, or the attainment of fame, wealth, or social status. Now, initially, in the beginning, we need to focus on the courage to accept, the situation at hand. That one needs to analyze one's shortcoming, one's strengths, one's weaknesses, one's opportunities, and obviously, some kind of threats we have. So normally we say it's a SWOT analysis in management. Okay. You can use any kind of acronym, but the idea is that courage, shouldn't have the courage to accept whatever is your present situation. How would you like to begin the essay? There are various methods. We normally prefer quote method. Look at the few quotes that we have thought about. Nelson Mandela or Sun Tzu from The Art of War. He says, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. Okay, so you can actually start with this quote, and then explain how it symbolizes the courage to accept. I talked about having self-awareness as being the most important thing to be successful. Then otherwise, you can think about Nelson Mandela, and he says, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but trump over it. The brave man is not who he feels afraid, but who conquers fear. So I think this is an easier quote, and a few of my students did write this. So I would say that, yeah, this is something that you can use. After the quote, emphasize on the meaning of the word courage and how it is not the absence of fear. So you can go back. I think here you see the meaning of the word courage. Emphasize on that and how it is not the absence of fear, but to still focus on the goal despite adversity. Then, how would you like to go about the first page? So when we talk on the first page, this is the first page would actually mean the front and the back. So this first, obviously you have started the quote, you have explained a bit. Now, obviously, how do you go about it? So after defining the word courage, you have to give examples about acts of courage by people from different demographies, different genre, locations, etc. You can talk about a prime minister, and there's a story of Bal Narendra, etc. Then there is Abdul Kalam, current ISRO chief K7, who was from a very normal background. Vishwesvaraya, name any. You can actually go for anyone, right? To be honest, but talk about people who are known to. Don't start with your parents, etc. Here you can, but it's known people. Examples would be useful here. Okay. Then talk about how why courage is necessary to accept failures, as it makes a person feel incompetent and weak, and that is heartbreaking. It can even create depression to create accept failures. It reduces self-worth and needs strong resilience to bounce back. So this is something which we'll also be emphasizing. We talk about having the grit. The people who have grit, obviously have become more successful than people who are talented. Talent, obviously, we'll talk about how success and is related to grit and talent in the coming pages. I would say in this. In the second page, talk about it takes a strong woman. Normally use a woman, don't use a man, right, to accept one's shortcoming and to be able to improve. Why I'm saying use female's sense, because I think that that's a better style of explaining. Okay, and females are much stronger, I would say, anyway. So that acceptance is not easy. It talks about the lack of acceptance. Talk about the failure of the Congress. Acceptance in that Rahul Gandhi doesn't really accept his shortcomings. Corruption in political parties, right? Vijay Mallya's case, you can actually. So you basically use a framework called the PESEL: political, economic, sociological, cultural, technological, legal, environment. So go like that. So political, we've given the example of the Congress government, previous government, economic, obviously we talk about the NPAs, social, cultural, talk about lack of acceptance, of society, in the domestic violence, dowry, etc. Talk about the lack of acceptance in technological areas of Facebook didn't accept the Cambridge Analytica issue, right, before it was made public by Guardian and other publications. Then you can talk about, the lack of acceptance of countries of the world like Donald Trump, right, USA, that there is climate change. Then legally, the issue is that, in India, there's a lot of pendency. People don't accept the fact that we need to do something about it. So the lack of acceptance, and there has to be a dedication to prove. So even if there is acceptance of some problem, you would need some dedication, and that is something which I think we will elaborate in the next part. So you can actually make as many examples as possible about the courage to accept. And sometimes what happens, people accept, but they don't really want to improve. They are, actually happy with status quo. So, how does a person become courageous enough to actually even have the dedication to improve? The third page talk about the lack of acceptance being the key problem in not improving. That if a person accepts, in some time he will improve. The key lies in accepting with a positive mindset, though, right? As I've said that, even if you have accepted that you cannot need for improvement, you might not improve because there might not be enough motivation. The question becomes how to improve and how to make commitment to improvement, because this is a huge issue. So Mahatma Gandhi quote, talk about his my experiments. So most idea, he says is that the idea being make your weakness public, make your ambitions public, so that you are forced to act in a way to improve your weakness and to achieve your ambition. So if you talk about that, okay, I want to become, let's say, an actor, and obviously, people will ask you, okay, which drama are you acting in? Are you, making any videos? Are you making a YouTube channel, etc., etc. Okay, well, how are you auditioning? Where are you going? So that kind of forces a person to work in a certain direction. In the fourth page, talk about making your ambitions or weaknesses public is not something everybody is comfortable. So we give a framework for people who from the book called Peak by Anders Ericsson, and he's known as the experts. He's the expert on experts. So P on E, Anders Ericsson. So he says, how do we improve? And this is something I think all of you should listen very carefully. You can actually use it to improve in any genre, like even in your civil services prep, you're going to gym, your looks, etc. So he says, make specific performance targets. So give yourself a daily target, okay, and that target should not be too aggressive. Okay, it should be a target which can easily be done. Okay, but it should be very specific, and you should know that if you, let's say, you've written one answer, you should go to the second. And let's say the specific target is that I read 30 pages, right, from Lakshmi Kant today, or any other book that is. Okay, so the idea is that these 30 pages should be very specific. And as soon as this ends, obviously, and this has to be in certain time. So 30 pages in, let's say, 5 hours. So there's a very clear target there, right? Then it has to be totally undistracted. So the phone has to go on airplane mode. Please ask everybody else to not to disturb you, not to give you a call, right? Um, right. Even if you're like your friends are coming in, right, make sure that you actually message them before that. Please do not disturb. There has to be intense, undistracted focus. An example is PV Sindhu. Okay, so the very interesting example in which PV Sindhu, was asked to write problems after winning the silver medal in the Olympics, and she wrote it on a piece of paper, and then his coach P. Gopinath, right, said that take the paper, take your phone and fold the phone and give it to me. So intense, undistracted focus. So 8 months she never looked at her phone. Okay, then immediate, obviously, right? Feedback. This is something very interesting. It has to be immediate feedback. So, okay, so when you write an answer, it has to be immediate feedback, so whether you've written it well or not. So you need to have a criteria. Okay, okay. Now, obviously, it's not easy to get a coach, right? Who would be sitting with you and actually checking your answer instantaneously. So, what you do is that you actually create a framework that, okay, these are the things that before even you write, there has to be some kind of a feedback channel created by you. It should be very easy. Let's say you've read 30 pages, so in 5 hours. So you should typically be able to check it by using some objective, right, tests, questions, etc. Let's say I read the newspaper, right, and there are like say 10 15 articles which are relevant. So after I read them, one should basically just check for the fact that, okay, have I actually do I remember anything from it? So very quickly just do that, okay, so that there is an immediate feedback. Okay, I don't remember, I do remember something like that. Then understand you have to cycle between comfort and discomfort. What does that mean? So let's say you are comfortable writing two answers, so, right? Okay. Or you are comfortable reading 30 pages. Now try to push it to 35, okay, and check whether you're comfortable still. If you're still comfortable, it's fine. If you go to 40, or let's say you go to 45, so you find that, okay, at 40 you are struggling a bit. So now go to 35. So always trying to do 35 to 40 and check for your discomfort, whether you're okay with writing more than two, right? Okay, answers a day or more than 35 pages a day. Okay, so that is the kind of thing that you should keep on struggling with. Okay, go be a little less, obviously at, let's say your limit is starting, let's say 10 hours. Now go for 9.5, okay, and then obviously go for 10.5 to 11. Go at that, try to check, whether you're comfortable at this level, 10.5, and then improve, go for specific targets. So like, okay, I'll study for 10 hours, 5 minutes, 10 hours, 15 minutes, or so on. So push yourself a bit, specific performance, and obviously intense, undistracted focus. Then obviously expert coaching is a necessity. A lot of people have asked me whether coaching is required. Even recently, I went to Ladakh, and one of the students there was asking about coaching. I said, I said, okay, first do these four things, and the coaching comes maybe next. But coaching is necessary from promo performance, but because it kind of solves your problem. But remember, even if you get the best coaching, you will have to make your own mental representations. So what does a coach do actually, if you think about it? He gives you some mental representations, right? How to remember stuff, etc. Because he has done it himself. Okay. But the problem is that you can't just mug it up. So this can't be mugged. So you'll have to create your own unique mental representations. So this is something you'll have to do. You have to find out your own way of remembering stuff. Okay. Remember, UPSC is locked about just remembering, so you need to do that. In the fifth page, you can talk about the fact that two factors, courage to accept and dedication to improve, are two key factors, and other factors also play. So we talked about the grit. So what is success? So success can be seen as a function of something called random and obviously hard work, whatever you might say. Okay, so random is something you don't know whether it will work for you or not, right? And UPSC is a lovely example for it. one fine year you really worked hard, etc., etc. But luck doesn't go your way. You didn't make through the interview. Next year you didn't even do that well in mains, and luckily you got through, and just got through, and then you got a great interview and you're in the services. So random always is there, and in India we call it kismat. Okay, right. So here, we talk about something else. We say success is a factor of, uh, you know, we talk about talent integrity. Okay, and we talk about the fact that effort is something which is required a lot more. So that's something which Angela Duckworth in her research. So she says people who are successful in their respective fields are not geniuses, but were the ones who do not give up easily or are more resilient to each other. So she talks about the dedication to that you have to again and again improve, right? So that is what has made people extremely successful in their fields, right? Uh, Now, obviously, we need to wrap up the essay. Remember, we have write another one. So this is enough. I think we would have gone about 3 to 4 pages now, right? 5 pages, that is. Now we have to wrap it up. So how do I wrap it up? Normally, obviously, you try to summarize your basic ideas in an essay. Okay, and obviously end with a quote, and obviously Abraham Swami Vivekananda personally. So arise, awake, and do not stop until the goal has reached. You can talk about that how our courage to accept our feelings as a nation, right, our weaknesses, would basically make sure that we improve, and India will become a $5 trillion economy. So something like that. You can. So that was it from us at Imprint IS. You can join a Telegram group, right? Imprint underscore IAS. You can also join a the essay writing course that we have. You can call 6280187919, or even you can message on a Telegram group. Will be wonderful if you could write this essay and email it to us, right? Thank you so much.